Everyone talks about forgiveness. Very few people talk about memory. Because forgiveness and memory are not the same thing. You can forgive someone and still remember exactly what happened. You can let go of anger and still recognize the lesson. You can move forward without pretending the past never existed. And that is where Scorpio is often misunderstood. People assume Scorpio holds grudges. But what if the truth is different? What if Scorpio simply remembers? Let's start with a question. Why do human beings remember painful experiences so vividly? Think about it. You probably don't remember every ordinary Tuesday from 5 years ago. You probably don't remember every routine conversation. But you remember heartbreak. You remember betrayal. You remember humiliation. You remember disappointment. Why? Because the brain is designed that way. Psychologically speaking, emotionally intense experiences receive special treatment from memory. Your brain treats them as important, as information that may protect you in the future. Pain becomes a lesson, a warning, a survival mechanism. In other words, your brain isn't trying to torture you, it's trying to protect you. Now let's talk about betrayal specifically, because betrayal is different from ordinary pain. A stranger cannot truly betray you. Think about that. A stranger can hurt you, insult you, disrespect you. But betrayal requires trust. Betrayal requires access. Betrayal requires emotional investment. The deeper the trust, the deeper the wound. That's why betrayal often feels so shocking. It doesn't come from enemies. It comes from people you never expected. People you believed in. People you defended. People you trusted. And that's what makes it so powerful. The event itself hurts, but the shattered belief hurts even more. Suddenly your understanding of reality changes. The person you thought you knew isn't the person standing in front of you. And the brain struggles with that contradiction, because human beings crave consistency. We want our view of reality to make sense. Betrayal destroys that certainty. And that's why the memory lingers. Not because Scorpio enjoys remembering, because the mind is trying to understand what happened, trying to make sense of the contradiction, trying to ensure it never happens again. Now here's something fascinating. Psychologists have discovered that trust operates a bit like a bank account. Every honest action creates a deposit. Every kept promise creates a deposit. Every act of loyalty creates a deposit. Over time, the balance grows. Trust grows. Security grows. Connection grows. But betrayal works differently. A single act can erase years of deposits. Not always completely, but dramatically. Why? Because negative experiences carry more psychological weight than positive ones. This is called negativity bias, and it affects everyone, not just Scorpio. The brain pays extra attention to threats, extra attention to danger, extra attention to violations of trust. It's part of survival. Now here's where Scorpio becomes unique. Scorpio often places enormous value on loyalty, not perfection, loyalty. Because loyalty creates emotional safety, and emotional safety allows vulnerability. Without loyalty, vulnerability becomes dangerous. That's why betrayal feels personal. It's not merely about what happened. It's about what the event represents. The collapse of trust, the collapse of safety, the collapse of certainty. And rebuilding those things takes time, a lot of time. Now let's address the biggest misconception. People think remembering means refusing to heal. Not necessarily. Remembering and healing can coexist. In fact, healthy healing requires remembering. You can't learn from experiences you deny. You can't develop wisdom from lessons you ignore. The goal isn't forgetting. The goal is learning. Learning without becoming bitter. Learning without becoming cynical. Learning without becoming closed off from life. That's the challenge, and that's where emotional maturity appears. Because immature people often choose one of two extremes. They trust everyone, or they trust nobody. Neither approach works. Wise people choose discernment. They trust carefully. They observe. They learn. They adapt. That's what Scorpio is often trying to do. Not punish the past. Learn from it. Now let's talk about forgiveness. Because forgiveness is one of the most misunderstood concepts in psychology. Many people think forgiveness means reconciliation. It doesn't. Forgiveness means releasing the emotional burden. Reconciliation means rebuilding the relationship. Those are completely different things. You can forgive someone without giving them access again. You can forgive someone without restoring trust. You can forgive someone without pretending nothing happened. And that's important, because trust and forgiveness follow different rules. Forgiveness can happen in a moment. Trust requires evidence. Evidence takes time. Which brings us to one of Scorpio's greatest strengths: pattern recognition. Scorpio often focuses on behavior, repeated behavior, because behavior predicts future behavior. Words matter, but behavior matters more. Promises matter, but consistency matters more. Intentions matter, but actions matter more. That's why betrayal often becomes unforgettable. It reveals a pattern, or exposes one. And once a pattern becomes visible, it's difficult to unsee. Now here's the interesting twist. Many people fear betrayal so much that they stop trusting entirely. But that creates another problem: isolation. And isolation protects you from betrayal, but it also protects you from connection, from love, from friendship, from opportunity, from life itself. The strongest Scorpio eventually realizes something powerful. The answer isn't building higher walls. The answer is building better judgment. Because no wall is perfect. No defense is perfect. No relationship is risk-free. Trust always requires courage. Always. The goal isn't eliminating risk. The goal is choosing wisely where you place it. And that's a much healthier approach. Now let's talk about something deeper: identity. Because betrayal often changes identity. Before betrayal, you see the world one way. After betrayal, you see it differently. Sometimes stronger, sometimes wiser, sometimes more cautious, sometimes more resilient. Pain changes perspective. Perspective changes behavior. Behavior changes identity. That's why some betrayals become turning points. Not endings, turning points. Moments that force growth. Moments that force awareness. Moments that force transformation. And transformation is something Scorpio understands deeply. The symbol of Scorpio has always been connected to rebirth. The idea of becoming stronger through adversity, wiser through pain, more authentic through struggle. That's not just astrology, that's psychology. Growth often emerges from challenge. Now here's the final truth. Scorpio doesn't remember betrayal because they enjoy suffering. Scorpio remembers betrayal because lessons matter. Trust matters. Character matters. And some experiences change you forever. Not because they broke you, because they taught you. The strongest people aren't those who never get betrayed. The strongest people are those who continue believing in loyalty despite experiencing betrayal. Those who remain capable of trust despite disappointment. Those who remain capable of love despite heartbreak. That's real strength. Not forgetting, growing. Scorpio, comment below. Trust takes years, seconds to break. And if you're part of the Scorpio Secrets family, subscribe now. Because in our next video, the dark side of Scorpio's loyalty nobody talks about. Scorpio, and what you're about to learn may completely change how you understand attachment, sacrifice, and emotional boundaries.